Now we're going to go to what is my favorite segment of the week on Morning Joe. Time Magazine's managing editor Rick Stengel joins us every week to unveil the next issue of Time Magazine, which you see for the first time anywhere right here on Morning Joe.
That's
Rick,
correct.
drum roll, please. What do we have coming up?
Hillary Clinton, the fighter.
The fighter. Yeah, you know what? I'm actually not surprised. Usually, like last week's, I think, surprised me, but she really did come back. And this new cover poses her as a fighter. She's pitched herself as a fighter for health care and jobs. Is her strategy, Rick, from what you guys have found in looking into this article, going to pay off in the long run, or we just don't know yet?
That's the $64,000 question. I mean, nobody really knows. And the subhead of the story is how she came back, but whether she can win it all. And nobody really knows. I mean, she makes the point. I talked to her yesterday where she said, look, you know, Barack Obama was the candidate of inspiration and momentum, and now he's the candidate of mathematics. And I don't know if that's such a good thing for the party.
So you did this Q&A with her yesterday,
yes,
which is, of course, featured in this issue. How did she seem?
You know, she had, it was funny, I'd been back and forth with her all day. She had a nap in the morning because she basically stayed up all night and did the morning shows. And then she had a long walk in the afternoon. I finally got her after she came back from her walk, and she was just, you know, calm as a cucumber. I think she felt good about what had happened the day before. And from all the reports, I mean, the situation has sort of stabilized when it comes to her. And so they're looking forward to what's ahead. And, you know, they're going to draw sharper and sharper distinctions with Senator Obama. We had an interview with Senator Obama as well, where he's making the same point. Like, look, we're going to go after each other now. And, you know, you had Howard Dean on this morning, I saw, and I think people in the party are a little worried that this kind of scorched earth policy is going to hurt them.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. She's the fighter. She's going to take this to the end. We know that. We know Barack Obama's going to do the same thing. Is there any concern or even recognition of what this may mean for a general election?
You know, I asked her, I said, Senator Clinton, is there a scenario that you can see where somebody comes along, maybe Al Gore, you know, maybe Howard Dean, and says, look, this has gone on too long, it's too close, we've got to make a decision and start getting ready for the general election? And she said, no, I don't see it.
Hey, Rick, how does this come with the superdelegates? I mean, maybe it does work to say, hey, I'm the person who can fight better than the other guy. What's your read on that?
Well, you know, you see with what Harold Ickes is saying and what the campaign is saying, I mean, again, for them it's coming down to the superdelegates. And that's another question I asked her. I said, you know, is there a scenario where the superdelegates decide it, and won't people, the millions and millions of Democratic voters who came out, won't they feel gypped or robbed by the fact that, you know, a bunch of unelected superdelegates are making that decision? And of course she said, well, those are the rules. You know, I mean, you guys know, I mean, it's such a wacky system, the way that's been constructed by the parties and the DNC, and it's anything but democratic with a small d in terms of the way people think of one person, one vote, one time.
Joe is in Orlando, and he's actually...
I know, I'm jealous.
I know, really, Joe.
I'm actually trying to raise $25 million for the revote in Florida. Okay. Not only for the Republican Party of Florida, but also for the Clinton campaign. Rick...
Joe,
Hillary,
which camera am I looking at? That one. All right.
Whichever one's fine with me.
You look so handsome in it. Okay.
Well, you do too. I like your dress.
Okay.
So, Hillary Clinton's team has been talking for some time about the fact that they think the press has been biased against them, have given Barack Obama a free ride. We've started this past week to see some tough questions asked of Barack Obama. Do you think he's in for a long 7 weeks between now and Pennsylvania?
I think he is. I think, and not just because of what the Clintons have been saying about that he hasn't been vetted, but I think, you know, we're now looking at him. I mean, there's a kind of narrative arc that all of these campaigns take. And it would even be, if he were the consensus nominee, you know, coming out of yesterday, people would be looking at him by saying, okay, now he's the nominee, now we really have to look at him. But because he isn't, because in fact it's a dogfight now, I think people are going to be looking at him more closely and looking at Chicago and looking at different things like that.
It certainly is a dogfight, and we'll get a sense of what he's made of and what she brings to the table. It's in some ways fascinating as a reporter to cover. Rick Stengel, thank you once again. We love this segment.
Great to be here.
Good to have you in the studio.